Okay, so I've never done this on Zoom before. Usually this is in person where I'm actually holding one of the dancer's shoes instead of one I ran into FIM to pick up, so I would have something to use. So this is really exciting. How we sew our shoes is really, really important. So that's why we're doing this. I'm going to call it one-on-one tutorial. Okay, so I think everybody purchased a sewing kit or has access to those supplies. Dancers, you're going to need to get your pointe shoes available, and we'll need your ribbons and your elastics as well. So if you could get those out. I'll be honest with you, I never sewed my pointe shoes by hand. I used a sewing machine. So if any of you have a sewing machine available to you, I recommend that you use it, because it is, don't take this the wrong way, it's more reliable. So I can talk about who is thinking about using a sewing machine. Okay. Then I can talk about how we do that in a moment. So y'all have your shoe. Okay, let's start with the ribbons, all right? I don't know if your ribbons are in 2 pieces. Loretta gave me ribbon, because usually I use yours to demonstrate. Yeah, okay, so your ribbon is in one great big long piece. All right, so you're going to cut it, and this is very, very important. You're gonna cut it into 4 equal pieces. 4 equal pieces. They will seem like they're gonna be way too long. That's okay. You'll be surprised at how much we actually need when we learn how to put our pointe shoes on. So 4 equal pieces, okay? You don't have to do that now, but that's actually what we're going to do with our ribbon. So you would fold it in half, cut it, and then fold it in half again, cut it. So 4 equal pieces, okay? All right, so for our purposes right now, we're gonna take one end of the ribbon and we're gonna double fold it. So there's, sorry, the camera. there's one little fold and the other little fold, okay? So not rolling, but folding. So there is, oh, what is that? A 1/2 inch, okay? So I folded it in once, and then I'm folding it in again, okay? Now we do that so that there's some meat to get the needle and the thread through, okay? Now, you'll notice there are 2 sides to your ribbon. There's the shiny side, and there's the side that's not shiny. We want the not shiny part to face outside of our shoe. We don't want the pretty shiny. Keep in mind that the shoe is going to be an extension of your leg, so we don't want any bling, okay? So when you fold, make your fold, you're gonna fold it in towards the shiny part. You probably can't tell through the film, through the video. Okay, so when you go to, Loretta put marks on your shoes, on where the ribbons were gonna go, right? So you're gonna put your ribbon over the mark that she made on your shoe. Did she make the mark on the inside or the outside? Outside. The outside. So your ribbon is gonna go on the inside of your shoe, okay? It's gonna be on the inside of your shoe, okay? And it's gonna be, I think she did 2 marks, so you would put it between the 2 marks on your pointe shoe. Does everybody see their marks? So Loretta didn't mark your shoes, Catherine? I thought we asked her to do that for everyone. Okay, so at the end of our time together, Catherine will put her shoes on, and Mom will have a marker, and I'll go towards the big toe, towards the heel, and we'll try to figure out how to do that. Okay? Okay. So in the meantime, you put your ribbon over the mark, and then you take your needle and thread. I'm using black thread. I don't know if you can tell. And then you're gonna, no idea what that was. We're going to do, you sew your ribbon in a square, down one side, over, and back up. Okay? Meaty, big stitches. Don't worry about your stitches showing on the satin side. Don't worry about that. Won't be able to see it from the audience. It's more important that your ribbon stays attached to your shoe. So you would make your little stitches. It goes all the way through the shoe and then up through the ribbon. And you're going to do that in a square. Okay? It's okay if you want it to go all the way through the shoe and all the way through the ribbon, and you're going to do it one side, you're going to go across the bottom, and then you're going to go up the other side. So I would start up at the top here, and then I'm going to make my stitches down towards the bottom of the shoe. And then I'm going to go across the bottom of the ribbon, all the way across. So all the way across this fold, and then back up the other side. So you're going to end up having 3 parts of a square. Down one side, along the bottom, and then back up the other side. Does that all make sense? Okay. Yeah, the Zoom thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Now, obviously, you need to do that 4 times because there's going to be 4 ribbons, right? They're on either side of both shoes. So you repeat this process 4 times. Okay? Now, if you're using the sewing machine, which is what I did back in the day, you've got your, let me take this out so that I don't stab myself further. So if you're using the sewing machine, you're going to go, you put it up under the needle, of course, and you go forward, and you go back, and you go forward, and you go back, and you're done. So you're gonna go right, you don't want to go into the casing. I think everybody had shoes that had a drawstring. So you avoid where the drawstring is, this casing. But if you're using a sewing machine, you're going to go forward, back, 4 times is plenty, and you're done. So if you have access to a sewing machine, I recommend it. Okay?
Miss Jenny?
Yes?
You do it underneath.
So are the ribbons on the inside?
Yes.
We're sewing on the inside of the shoe, or?
They're on the inside. On the inside. On the
How
inside.
much do you leave?
What do you mean leave?
Yeah, on the end.
Inside, fold it over, and then you fold it over again.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so yeah, you folded it twice. 1 fold. I know it's hard to see with the light. 2nd fold, so that's so that the thread can really get in there and hold the fabric securely. Okay, so if you're using the machine, you do 4 backs and forths. If you're sewing it by hand, you're going to make a 3-sided square with your needle and thread.
So sewing machines. So you're going back and forth 4 times.
Right. And so it would be 4, here's the, if this was on the machine, there would be 4 overlapping lines of the thread. Okay? Okay. All right. So you've done it 4 times because you have 2 ribbons on each shoe. right? Okay, now the elastic. Any questions on the ribbon? Okay.
Yes, I just want to confirm, did you say the non-shiny side is the outside?
Correct. The shiny side is going to go against their ankle.
Okay. I can't even, I'm not for sure that our ribbon looks different.
Yeah.
Is your ribbon the
on the
same
sides? I've flipped it over many times.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
looks the same.
That's great. Then, yay, you don't have to make a decision. Isn't that great?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good.
Okay, the ribbon that she gave me is shiny on one side and flat on the other. Okay, so going on to the elastic, I recommend that the elastic go pretty far back in the shoe. So you're going to use your thumb as a measure. So the back of the shoe, there's this seam right here, kind of like a narrow piece of fabric that covers up the seam in the back of the shoe. Does everybody see that? Do you see that? Okay, so use your thumb. One thumb distance from the back of the shoe is where your elastic is going to go. So I'm trying to figure out a way to show you here. So I measure my thumb, and that's where my elastic goes on the inside of the shoe. One thumb's distance from the back of the shoe. Everybody see that? Often the elastic is sewn in the wrong place. And that's usually, of all the stuff that we're sewing, that's the one that we have to do over again. So it's pretty far back. One thumb's width from the back of the shoe is where the first piece of elastic goes. Okay? And it is at an angle. It is not perpendicular to the shoe. This is wrong. It is not perpendicular. Your ribbon will be perpendicular. Your elastic will be on an angle because it has the biggest distance to go around your ankle. So your ribbon, your elastic is going to be on an angle. Do you see that? And then you're going to sew it there. The other side's still loose. Okay? Then you have to do a fitting. You put your shoe on. You're going to bring your elastic around your ankle and find the same place on the other side of the shoe. One thumb's width or distance from the back of the shoe. Now, you want the elastic to be firmly against your ankle. It shouldn't be, shouldn't bubble or be loose. It should be firm. It shouldn't be so tight that you're going to lose feeling in your feet and your toes fall off. Not good either. But it should be snug but not tight. If it bubbles, then I'm going to have you do it again. The elastic is very, very important. It holds the shoe on your foot. That's the job of the elastic. The elastic's going to hold your shoe on your foot. The ribbon holds the arch of the shoe up against your foot. So your ribbon has a job to do too, but the elastic is going to hold the shoe on. So we have to make sure that it is not too tight, but that it's able to do its job. So you sewed it on the one side, you put the shoe on your foot, and you're going to do a fitting with your elastic as you pull it across. I recommend a pin or marking the elastic so you know exactly where you need to sew it to fit your foot. Everybody's going to be different. Okay? Some people have really, really narrow ankles. It depends on your body structure. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. So you could bring your elastic across, use a pen. Okay, this is where I need it. Make a mark on your elastic, and then that's how you know where to sew it. You could use a safety pin to hold it in place. Whatever you think will work for you, but that's how you know where your second half of your elastic needs to go. Does that make sense? Okay. Often the elastic is what I ask the dancers to do over. Because if it's too bubbly, it's not going to do its job. And if it's too tight, the dancer will be really miserable while the elastic does its job. Okay? And this has to be done on both shoes. So you're going to do it twice. Okay? Okay. So I recommend that some of you will have the elastic will be a lot inside the shoe. You know, in order for it to fit snugly, there'll be extra elastic down here in your shoe. Leave it there. Because I'm gonna look at how the shoes fit. And if I ask your dancer to re-sew the elastic, you wanna make sure you have enough. If we have to do, I don't know, a plan B with the elastic, we want to make sure you have enough. Okay? Question?
How many times do you stitch the elastic?
So I would, if you're using the sewing machine, I'd say 4 times. A forward and a back and a forward and a back and a forward and a back. If you're using needle and thread, it's the same. You're going to do a 3-sided square. And don't be shy of grabbing a hunk of shoe, grab a hunk of elastic, and get the job done. Okay? You might see the well, you can't. I guess I did okay on mine. You might see stitches on the outside of your shoe. That's okay. We're painting our shoes anyway. We're not going to see it. Right? Okay, so don't worry if your thread. That's why I recommend using white dental floss. So, you know, dental floss comes in all kinds of crazy colors. You know, red and green. I recommend you use white dental floss. So then it covers up better when we paint our shoes. Okay. I know, the first time's nerve-wracking. Questions?
Are we using the dental floss for stitching?
I recommend it. Well, but when you guys bought your sewing kits, the thread inside your sewing kit was heavy duty. That's heavy duty? Yeah, that's like mega thread. It's not the basic stuff that you get at Joann's. So your thread is already more durable. Yeah. So if you're using the sewing machine, you know, I think if you do 4 forward and backs with standard thread, you should be okay. If you're sewing it by hand, I recommend. I mean, that thread it has a nicer finish than dental floss, but it's really durable. Okay? Other questions about sewing ribbons and elastics?
I've never used dental floss on my sewing machine before.
Well, if you're using the sewing machine, I recommend you use thread. Okay? Because the sewing machine is going to, obviously is, it's a machine. So the stitching is going to be more even and it's going to be more durable, and you do 4 times over. So I'm talking about the dancers who are using the needle and thread. Okay, so this is all described in the Let's Get Started handout about how you fold the ribbon. It goes over the mark. If you have ribbon that is shiny on one side, it's going to face the inside of the shoe. Number 4 describes what to do with the elastic, about it being firm and not too tight. All of that is in the instructions for sewing and preparing your shoes. Okay? So you'll have, this instruction, I'm going to call in person. You'll have the video, and then there is the handout. Okay? Okay. On number 5, and this is often one of the hard parts, is right now the tip of the shoe is beautiful, satiny smooth, which means it's incredibly slippery. So before we actually wear the shoe, we're going to scratch them up. So you make little crisscrosses across the tip of the shoe. Can you see that? Just little X's. Otherwise, it's very, very slippery, and particularly with students using different kinds of settings to take class right now, we want to have a little bit of traction. Eventually, this fabric will come off of your shoe. That's a good thing. I know that there'll be a sense of loss, but this eventually will come off of your shoe, and they'll actually make it safer. Now, let's look at the bottom of your shoe. So this happens to be a block, and there are already little X's. I don't think you can see it on the video I'm making, but I don't know if you can see it. So if your shoe does not have these X's on it, you need to do scissors to put them on. Can anybody hold their shoe up and let me see? X's, X's, X's. Good. Okay, so Cheyenne, your shoe is smooth, so I would recommend making X's on the bottom there, and that's for traction. Okay, it's really pretty right now, but in terms of keeping you safe, we want to have some traction that we can use. Okay? Okay, now, number 6. We're not going to do that until after we practice putting on our shoes, and we confirm that the length of the ribbons are correct. So you don't have to worry about fire yet. After we get our ribbons sewn and we practice tying them and we confirm how long the ribbons need to be, then we need to singe the end of the ribbon. This actually, well, I don't know what happens with this. I don't know what company of ribbon I have. They tend to fray. Sometimes I will see a Pointe Shoe ribbon and it's frayed back 2 inches. And so if it keeps going, the dancer's not going to have anything left to put their shoes on. So once we determine, not yet, but once we determine exactly how long the ribbons need to be when they've tied their shoes, we trim them so they're not long and bulky and in the way, and then we singe the tip of the ribbon. Dancers, you'll do this with supervision, okay? Okay, you'll do it with supervision. Thank you. But you just, if you use a match, you just dip the ribbon into the match. If you're using a lighter, you just dip it into the flame, and it melts. I mean, it's polyester. It's made out of plastic. It just seals the edge so it won't fray into oblivion. Okay? Are you good? Okay. Okay. I don't think I'm going to go over tying the shoes today. We'll use, I think we're going to do that next Tuesday, and I'll do another YouTube video about how how we put the pointe shoes on with that. Do you have questions about sewing ribbons, elastics, what I call distressing your shoes? Do you have any questions about that? Okay. Well, you know where to find me if you do. Yes, Joseph? No? You're good? Okay. All right. Then the other, before I transfer everything down onto the floor and we talk about taking care of our feet and our toes and all of that, I wanted to talk, this is for the dancers primarily, and it has to do with you guys understanding where you are in your training and how you got there. Yeah, you've been working really, really hard, and you've been working with the faculty and all of that, but it is all being made possible by the people who provide the opportunity for you. And it's not us, it's not the faculty, it's your family. And I don't know, do any of you, okay, how many of you listened when the young lady at Loretta's told your families how much the purchase was? Who listened to that amount? Okay, it was well over $100, wasn't it? It was well over $100. Plus the drive down, right? Okay, how many of you know how much your tuition is? Who knows how much their tuition is? Okay. All right. So not everybody. I think with the level of responsibility you've achieved with your point work, I think it's okay for you to know how much your tuition is. You're taking 4 classes with the point. It'll be 4 classes a week, right? How much is your ensemble? The purchase of your leotards and your tights and your ballet shoes. So you're not the only one making a commitment here on going up onto point. Your family is making a commitment for you to do this as well. And so I have this talk every year. It's kind of like a rite of passage and an accepting of responsibility. So your families are providing this opportunity for you, then it's important, I believe, it's important for you to acknowledge that kind of support. And it's not just financial, it's active support for, you know, relinquishing the dining room or the living room or your dad's man cave to take your ballet class, you know, or the drive down to Loretta's. Those are big examples of the commitment that your families have. So if you haven't said thank you yet, this is probably a really good time. Okay? Okay. All right, so point work, well, Loretta was really impressed. All 6 of you went straight up on point, straight legs, turned out, all the way up on your shoes. She was very, very impressed. You guys are really ready to dance on point. And to all of you, it looked like the most natural thing in the world. Point work is not natural. It's not natural. If we were designed to dance on the tips of our toes, we would not have a pair of tripods at the end of our leg. We're designed to stand on a foot, which is like a tripod. The heel and then, you know, the toes, we're designed to stand that way. We're not ponies who walk around on the tips of their toes all the time, right? It's extraordinary. It's not normal, you guys. It's not normal. I mean, really, right? Right? I mean, we want to do it, and it's exciting and all of that. And I bring this up because you've been trained specifically and very carefully, meticulously to get to this point, and you are ready. But I want you to understand that with the addition of dancing up on toe, it is extraordinary. And so there are things you need to do to keep yourself safe and keep yourself healthy. I'm going to talk about the care of your toes and your toenails in a moment. I'm going to have to shift all my equipment to do that. And I'm going to be sharing my feet on YouTube. I don't know how I feel about that. As you know, right now it's 1 pair of shoes, and you'll outgrow it before we need to purchase another one. But when you get up into Flint Youth Ballet and you're participating in a lot of ballets that are on point, take our dancers in the advanced class, and it's really, really common to be in the party scene on point, snowflakes, and waltz of the flowers. 3-point part in 1 nutcracker. Well, I mean, it's not uncommon to, you know, I'm going to say 3 pairs of shoes a month during nutcracker is not unusual. I know, I was always looking at her going, you didn't hear that. I'm going to delete that from the video. It's not uncommon for a dancer to be going through point shoes that fast when they're at the advanced level. Again, don't forget to say thank you to your families, okay? That's one reason why we have a Flint Youth Ballet Support Fund, to help families purchase all of those point shoes. The point shoes, when they wear out, we have to replace them because that supports safety. Dancers have to take a full curriculum when they're dancing on point because that supports safety. When we're doing a lot of work on point, the dancers will start to get kind of odd sounding advice, like you shove your feet into a bucket of ice. And that parents have to cover their ears for what words come out of their dancer's mouth when they shove their feet into a bucket of ice. You know, I mean, I'm a baseball person, so, you know, there are interviews after the game and the pitcher will have his arm packed in ice. right? Okay, that's to help with overuse. So dancers, if they've been rehearsing 5 hours on a Saturday, getting ready for Nutcracker, they go home and they shove their feet into a bucket of ice. There are a couple of other things. I call them foot fixers. They're little foot whirlpool kind of things, or saunas, or I have one. I still use it sometimes. You know, a little foot bath where the water jiggles around. It's also worth an investment. So as, not now, but in 2 or 3 years, if you're still dancing on pointe, these are things that you're going to want to invest in and know about. And the bucket of ice is one of them, okay? And it's worth it. And when the dancers start using that, they realize that their feet feel a whole lot better the next day. There are liable to be some irritations on the toes. Now, you all have really good quality padding for your toes. When I didn't wear stuff in my shoes, sometimes I would get blisters on my big toe, so I just wore a Band-Aid. I'll be frank with you about Band-Aids. No brand Bandies don't stick. They don't stick. So Johnson & Johnson Band-Aid Band-Aids are the ones that stick the best. Some people recommend just adhesive tape, but if you get a blister under adhesive tape and you pull the adhesive tape off, it takes the blister with it, and then you're really, really sad. So I recommend Band-Aids. You'll find where there's going to be rubbing, and then you know that's where to put your Band-Aid. You might have discomfort on pointe. There was one of you where the toe rolled up a little bit. If you have discomfort, you let me know. And there are different things we can do. There are toe spacers. There are places where we can put extra lamb's wool to help distribute the weight. I mean, I remember most of you had pretty square feet, so that was good. But there are different strategies we can have. If you have discomfort, you need to say something to me, and then we can work on different ways of making that more comfortable for you. That's also an element of safety. If you're having discomfort, that's your body saying, this isn't quite right, and we need to help your body be safe. Okay? Let me see, were there other things I wanted to say about that? No. Until we talk about toenails, the toenails are really, 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 really important. So, and the way ballet dancers, Pointe Shoe dancers need to cut their toenails have absolutely nothing to do with the way you would get a pedicure. I'm just saying. If you think about where you are up on pointe, are you dancing on the pillows at the end of your toes, or are you dancing on your toenails? Because if your toenails are too long, you are literally dancing on your toenail, and it's not going to like it. And that is how you end up with bruised toenails. And I had one in my life, and I vowed I would do everything in my power to never have another one. And I had one. So you want to avoid it if at all possible. And cutting your toenails and cutting them properly is the best way to prevent it from happening. Okay? Okay, that has been said with grown-up witnesses. So, and really, you guys are old enough, if you're old enough to be on pointe, you're old enough to take care of your toenails. Understanding you may need, the younger ones may need some supervision to get started. And I'm going to talk about that momentarily as I shift myself down to the floor. But keep in mind that we don't want to dance on our toenails. We want to dance on the little pillow part of our toes. And you can understand why, right? Right. Okay. Any question about caring for the feet, or the Band-Aids, or the foot fixer, or the ice water, or any of that stuff? Okay, okay. So I'm going to move to the floor, and I'm going to show you my feet. Okay, sorry. Okay. Let's see if I can move both of these at the same time and not break either one of them. Okay, okay. It's showing up good on the phone. Okay, so these are old ballerina feet. Okay, so I don't know if you can see my toenails, but if you picture this foot up on point, if I had a really long, for me, it's the first two toes. If my toenail was really long, do you see how I'd be dancing on my toenail? Okay, so we don't want that to happen. So what I do is, I don't know if you can see. So the toenail needs to be short enough so that you can push on the pillow at the top part of your toe. Do you see? Mine are a little bit long, but I don't dance on point anymore. Right? So now you can't cut it. Can you hear me? You can't cut it all at once because you will bleed. And that's not good either. You have to kind of train your toenail back a little bit. So you cut it a little short, and then you cut it a little short, and you keep doing it. And over time, your toenail will kind of recede back. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't have pretty pedicure, open-toed shoe toenails anymore. I'm sorry. Another thing, I don't know which foot shows better, but I cut V's out of my big toenail. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see? No? A little bit? I use my toenail, actually my fingernail clippers to cut little V's. For me, it's my big toe and my second toe, because when I'm up on point, they're the ones that take most of the weight. So I cut a little V in them. If any of the families have had ingrown toenails, if you cut a V in that toenail, the nail grows to heal itself. So it grows to meet in the middle, and that is another way of preventing ingrown toenails. So to avoid ingrown toenails,
Thank you, Ms. Jennings.
What?
My toenails have been ingrown, and I have had no way to solve that problem.
High five. So actually, I went to a podiatrist years and years ago. I was real, like your age. And he pointed out that, of course, a podiatrist just shakes their head if you go visit them. And you're, first of all, you're a dancer, and then you're a ballet dancer on point. They just shake their head. But he recommended that I do that. And it was, yes, lights came on, angels sang. It was, yes. So that little bit of a niche, here, oh, sorry. If you cut a little V in the toenail right in the middle, the toenail grows to fill in the hole. Therefore, it's growing away from the corner. And that has proven to help me and several people I know with ingrown toenails. Okay? Okay. So again, with the cutting of the toenail, don't go do it all at once. Okay, you have to train the nail to recede. Okay, a little bit. And you guys, we're not going to get up on point. We're not going to do our first releve until September, if we're in the studio. So you have time to train your toe to recede, your toenail to recede. Okay. We're not going to be on point a whole lot in the beginning. Minutes only, like minutes. So there'll be lots of time for you to develop strength and durability and strategies to help you with comfort in your point shoes. Okay?
Miss Jennings?
Yes.
I have one quick question about the point shoes. You know how Miss Loretta tied the drawstring into a bow? How do we keep those from fraying?
Okay, so this is something that I just usually fix when I am teaching you guys and I won't be able to do that this time. So when we are learning how to tie our ribbons, you bring a pair of scissors. And we're going to trim those. We're going to tie them in a knot, not a bow. We're going to trim them so that they don't get all bunchy inside your shoes. Okay, so we're going to deal with that on Tuesday. So have a pair of scissors handy, and we'll go over how we manage that. I think all of you have a drawstring. There are some pointe shoes that don't have drawstrings, but I think all of you purchase pointe shoes that do. So yeah, we'll take care of that on Tuesday. Other questions? Okay. Don't hesitate, because your question might be what somebody else is going to think about 5 hours from now.
When do you want them like sewn by?
I would like them sewn by Tuesday, so we can practice. I can teach you how to put them on. Okay, then it takes that's a long class, learning how to put them on. And again, there are lots of reasons why it has to be right. Part of it is safety, and a large part of it is aesthetic and the art form. And I'm really, really fussy. I just thought I'd tell you. I'm really, really fussy. So we'll learn that next week on Tuesday, and then you can practice on Wednesday, and then we'll look at it again on Thursday. Okay, so if you could at all have your shoes sewn by next Tuesday, that would be great. Question, Cheyenne?
When do you need them colored?
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to wait until we're in the studio again to do that. Because we want to match the color with your tights, the color of the shoe with your tights. I think it'd be a lot easier if we did that in person. So I was going to wait until we're in the studio together and maybe have Giselle, Corey, or Mrs. Corey. They do a great demonstration on how to do all that. So I was going to wait, okay? I did share with you the palette, the color palette. So based on the color of tights that you are wearing, that determines the color of makeup we use on your pointe shoes. The idea is to have a full, long, continuous line. The pointe shoe is going to match your leg. Okay? Okay, that's a really good question, Cheyenne. Thank you for bringing that up so I could clarify. So we're not gonna paint our shoes until we're back in the studio and we can sit down and really go through that process. If we don't get back in the studio, then I'll arrange another session like this with one of the older dancers who is really experienced at it, and they can show you some of the tricks. Okay? Other questions? This is really exciting. It's really, who knew that I'd be talking about sewing pointe shoe ribbons on Zoom with a YouTube video? So with any luck, this video is going to work out, and I'm going to post it on the FSPA Dance Facebook page, and it's also on our YouTube channel, and I'll try sending you links. I think I've been able to do that in the past, so that if you need to refer back to it, you can. If you don't need it, that's cool. That's fine. That's great. Any other questions?
Just a reminder that we need to know them because ours don't have the marks.
Right. So you and I will do that as soon as everybody's done.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, so I'll stay online with Catherine. And then I can't remember if I teach you guys tomorrow. I don't know when I see you next. But I'll say goodbye for now. Okay? All right. Thank you.